Hoppers. Everyone knows they're capable of moving items from one inventory block to another. It can be done by either pulling from above or pushing down or to the side. But what if I told you there's more to them than just simply that? They have a number of different uses, most of which are combined with other inventory blocks, including other hoppers. Throwing in a bit of redstone can also make for some really interesting machines. And when you put them in a minecart, it only increases the number of possibilities. So, how many uses does the hopper actually have? Let's find out. What's up, agents? Zero here and welcome to Redstone 101. This is the show that'll teach you more about redstone so that you can build better contraptions. And quite honestly, I feel like that the uses that the hopper actually has go underappreciated. I mean, everyone knows its basic functions, but everything else, pretty much not a lot of people know about. So I'm hoping that this video will actually fix that. So I'm going to be separating this into two categories: the basic hopper and the hopper minecart, which, by the way, in the creative inventory, it's not called the hopper minecart, it's called the minecart with hopper. Go figure. Okay, so first, let's take a look at the crafting recipe. We take 5 iron ingots in this shape right here, and the chest in the middle, and it gives us a hopper. Now, putting down hoppers can actually be a little bit tricky. Now, whatever block that you're looking at when you put it down is the block of which it's going to face. So if I put it down right here, this little square funnel right here will be facing into the ground. If I were to face it into this block, then that means the funnel is going to face into the block. However, putting them next to an inventory block is a bit different. So if I go ahead and click right now, it just opens it. So what you actually have to do is you have to crouch first, and then you place it down, and boom, you're actually able to put it in. Now, the hopper actually has a bit of an interesting hitbox. So if I go ahead and jump in here, and I move forward a bit, I'm actually now inside of the hopper. Now, the reason why this is important is to prevent items from flowing past it. So on the one hand, if you're trying to get items flowing down a water stream, this means that they are not able to go past it. But on the downside, that means if you're using an item filter that uses that mechanic, you're pretty much done, because they will get to this hopper and they will not go past that point. So it does have a good use, but at the same time, that good use can be a bit of a drawback. So let's go ahead and get started with the functions that pretty much everybody knows. So if I go ahead and press this button right here, it's going to dispense a piece of redstone dust into this hopper, which is then going to get filtered into the chest. Now, if I were to flick this lever and I push the button again, it doesn't appear in the chest. It's stuck inside of this hopper. And the reason being is because whenever a hopper is being given a redstone power source, which this lever is doing, it completely locks it. So if I go ahead and flick this lever back off, it actually filters out of the hopper and goes into the chest. Now, here's the first use of the hopper that I want to show you guys, and that's the item filter. Now, these are actually very easy to build, but depending on how big it is, you're actually going to need quite a bit of resources. So we have a chest right here for diamonds, a chest right here for emeralds, and then we have a third chest right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting in these 5 diamonds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they actually all get filtered down into this chest right here. Now, the reason why I put them in at the rate I did is because there's a bit of a problem with hoppers in this sense. In Pocket Edition, if items are flowing through them, they sometimes move too fast for them to get pulled down. Therefore, they get filtered off and don't end up where they're supposed to go. So we've got all 5 of our diamonds inside the diamond chest and all 5 of our emeralds in the emerald chest. Now, if we were to go ahead and do the same thing and put the redstone in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they do not get filtered down into the diamond chest, and they do not get filtered down into the emerald chest. They get filtered down into this chest right here. Now, this is actually very easy to set up. However, it can be a bit resource expensive. So let's take a look inside this hopper. We have ourselves a stack of 18 diamonds, and then we have 19, 20, 21, 22 diamonds total. These 22 diamonds are giving off a redstone signal of 1. We increase it by just 1 more diamond. It turns into a signal of 2, turns this redstone on, turns on this repeater, turns off this torch, allowing the items to flow through. Now, there is a little bit of a drawback to this. There will always be an item that ends up getting stuck right here. Now, I have done some experimenting and replaced this hopper with a solid block. That actually prevented it from working correctly. Now, this is just simply if you're using the classic GUI, or if you're a PC player, this is how you do it. However, for the longest time, we've been using the Pocket GUI, which is still an option, and a lot of people still use the Pocket GUI. So, if you're going to be using the Pocket GUI, doing this is actually not possible. You actually have to use a different method, which is why I have a second hopper right here. So here's what you do. You take one of the item of which you're going to filter through, you take 3 random items, and then a stack of 18 of a 4th random item, and this is going to create your item filter. Now, I actually highly recommend that you rename these items so it doesn't accidentally filter stuff that's not supposed to get filtered. And speaking of item filters, you can actually use this to create keycard locks. So if I go ahead and push this button, there's absolutely nothing happening, and that's because this dropper is actually empty. Inside this chest, we have a redstone torch and a button. So if I were to go ahead and put a button inside this dropper and push this button, nothing happens. However, if I take the button out and instead replace it with a redstone torch, the door actually opens momentarily, and that's because there isn't actually an item filter right here, and uses the exact same mechanic as over there, but it's built slightly differently. And then I have it hooked up to a pulse extender, which allows the door to stay open longer. And yeah, that's how that works. It's actually very easy to put together. So it'll actually allow people to go in that you want, but keep out people that you don't want. Very good for securing bases. Now we're actually going to take a look at 2 machines involving droppers. This first one is called the Hopper Dropper Monostable Circuit. Now, effectively, a monostable circuit takes a redstone signal and shortens it to a smaller pulse. So this redstone pulse is actually going to be shortened, and if you're using a lever, it effectively turns it into a pulse lever. Now, I will be covering monostable circuits in a separate video. However, because this uses a hopper, I felt it was necessary to put this in here. So if I go ahead and push this button, the item's going to flow into this hopper and then go back into the dropper, therefore giving us a short pulse. Now what we're going to be taking a look at is the Hopper Dropper T flip-flop. Now, just like the monostable circuit, I'm actually going to be doing a separate video on the T flip-flop. However, I felt this was a good thing to put in here because, again, it's using a hopper. So here's what's going on with this machine. There's an item inside this dropper, which is facing into this dropper, which is facing into this dropper. If we go ahead and push this button right here, it's going to send the item from here to here, thus giving us a redstone output. If I push this button again, it goes into this dropper, the hopper pulls out and puts it back inside of this dropper right here, and the whole cycle repeats. So effectively, you're turning a button into a lever. Now we're going to be taking a look at another T flip-flop, and this time using the observer block. Now, if you're not familiar with the observer block, basically it looks for updates from directly in front of it and then gives off a short redstone pulse. So you can actually use the observer to create a hopper T flip-flop, and here's the way this works. Because this redstone torch is on, nothing is actually going to be moving between these hoppers. However, if we put block here, the torch is going to be off for a short amount of time, allowing the item to move, thus giving us a redstone output. If we were to go ahead and break this block, it does the exact same thing. Now, if you're creating the hopper T flip-flop, you do not have to use just strictly the observer. In fact, you can actually use pretty much anything you want, anything that gives you a shortened pulse, a very shortened pulse, and it'll work. If you have a pulse that's too long, then this is not going to work. Now, the next time we're going to be taking a look at is called the hopper timer. So here's the way this works. We have a stack of iron flowing between these 2 hoppers, in this case, 8 pieces of string. And here's the way this works. The hopper that has a redstone block above it does not flow items out. Only items go into it. So as soon as items in the other hopper are completely gone, then that piston will turn off, turning on the other piston, allowing the redstone power to move. Now, this redstone block obviously is our output, as you can tell by this lamp. However, this machine is actually really good for automatic farms. Now, you can actually put as many or as few items into these hoppers as you want. So you can put as little as just simply like, I don't know, maybe one item going back and forth. Or you can actually completely fill the hoppers all the way. Whatever you decide you want to do, you can go ahead and do that. Now we're actually going to be taking a look at something else, another farm related thing, and that's this egg farm right here. And this actually uses the next mechanic of which I'm going to be showing you guys. So I have myself 5 redstone blocks inside of this chest. Now hoppers are actually able to pull items through slabs so long as the slabs are directly on top of the hopper. So if I go ahead and throw these down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they all get funneled down inside of this chest. And apparently they got moved into this chest by accident. It doesn't make a difference. And so hoppers can actually do the exact same thing with carpets. It'll pull it straight through. So let's go ahead and throw them all right through. And they all get filtered into this chest right here. However, hoppers are actually not able to do that with full blocks. So if I go ahead and throw just one down, it doesn't go through. So you do need to be aware of that. Now, like I showed you, this is my egg farm, and it uses the exact same technique. As the chickens lay eggs, it lands on the carpet, gets pulled into the hoppers, and then gets funneled down into this chest. Now we're actually going to go and move on to the hopper minecart, which this is the recipe right here. So you could actually craft this in your inventory window. And just as a reference, I've given you guys the recipe for the minecart. Now, they actually can give off a redstone signal just like the hopper. However, they have to be on a detector rail. So we have ourselves a redstone dust right inside. So as you can tell, this lamp is not on, but if we go ahead and move it to this side, it turns on, and that's because it's on the detector rail. If we move it back over here, because it's not on the detector rail, it doesn't give off a redstone output. Now, hopper minecarts can actually be used essentially as a vacuum. So if I go ahead and push this button right here, items are now dispensed on top of the track and on these blocks up here. So if we go ahead and push this button and send the hopper minecart off, like I said, it acts as a vacuum, picks up what's on the track and also on the block above it. So yes, the hopper minecart can actually pick items up from the block above it, while normal hoppers cannot, and they all get funneled down into this chest right here. Now let me go ahead and push this again once, twice, and let's go ahead and run this again. Now you do have to be careful how many items you're actually going to be putting in the path of this hopper minecart, because it is only able to pick items up so fast. So if there's too many items, there's a good chance it's going to miss some of them. So do be aware of that. Now you can actually also use hopper minecarts to create hidden activation points. All you simply do is push a button and it pushes the block directly onto the hopper minecart. And as you can tell, it is now darkened, but I can still access the hopper minecart if I want to. Now, the reason why this part works is because it's not actually on a rail. As you can see, this hopper minecart is in fact on a rail, therefore it is not going to work. So if I push this button, nothing happens. And you can actually use this, like I said, to create hidden activation points. So if I go ahead and take out this redstone block right here, and I can go ahead and take this redstone block and I can throw it down here, it actually gets pulled into the hopper minecart right here, goes into the hopper down here into this chest, therefore opening the door up. Let's go ahead and take it back out, and our door closes back up. Now, there will be a world download in the description. If you guys want to check this out, try to figure the redstone out for yourselves. But that's going to have to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. One more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button for future content. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at AgentCPU0 to stay updated. This has been Zero Studios. Thank you guys for watching. And with that, I will see you guys later.